Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Imagine a love so powerful it defies the boundaries of society, yet so fragile that a single forgotten ring can shatter it. Long before Shakespeare asked, "What's in a name?" a legendary Indian poet named Kalidasa wrote a masterpiece that would enchant the world for nearly 2 millennia. Today, we're diving into Abhijinanasakuntalam, the recognition of Shakuntala. It's a tale of hermitages, kings, celestial curses, and the ultimate triumph of memory over time.
All right, let's dive into a story from classical India that's all about one single powerful question. What happens when the person you love most just completely forgets you exist? We're talking about Abhijinanasakuntalam, a masterpiece about love, a really nasty curse, and a promise that gets lost to memory.
I mean, think about it. This story isn't just a romance. It really makes you wonder about memory itself, how our memories shape who we are, what we owe to people, and how we love. What are we really without the moments that made us?
So, before we get into the thick of the story, you gotta meet the genius behind it. We're not talking about just any writer. This is Kalidasa, an absolute giant of Sanskrit literature. People often call him the Shakespeare of India, and honestly, that's not an exaggeration. He wrote this play way back somewhere around the 4th or 5th century, and it's so much more than a play. It became a cultural touchstone, a story that people have connected with for more than 1,500 years. Okay, so let's get our cast of characters straight. First up, you have King Dushyanta. He's the powerful ruler of Hastinapur, a guy totally bound by duty. His whole world gets turned upside down when he meets Shakuntala. She's this incredible woman who grew up in a peaceful forest hermitage, totally in tune with nature. And then there's Durvasa. You're going to want to remember that name. He's a sage with a legendarily short fuse, and he's about to cause a lot of problems. So, our story kicks off like a lot of great love stories do, with a chance meeting in a beautiful, secluded place. The king is out on a hunt, chasing a deer deep into the woods when he stumbles upon this hermitage. And the second he lays eyes on Shakuntala, that's it. He's done for. All the stress and politics of his royal court just melt away, and this intense whirlwind romance begins right there in the middle of the forest. Their connection is so strong, so immediate, that they decide to get married through something called a Gandharva Vivaha. Now, this was a totally legitimate type of marriage back then, but it's one based entirely on love and mutual consent. No big ceremony, no parental approval. It was just about them. Super romantic, right? But it also creates this major tension between their private love and the king's very public duties. Of course, the king can't stay in the forest forever. Duty calls him back to the capital. But before he goes, he gives Shakuntala his royal signet ring. And pay attention here, because this ring is everything. It's not just a gift. It's his solid promise that he'll be back for her. It's the only physical proof of their connection. But just as their love story is hitting this beautiful high note, a shadow falls over the hermitage. Fate is about to take a very, very cruel turn. Okay, so picture this. Shakuntala is completely lost in a daydream, just thinking about her new husband. She's so wrapped up in her thoughts that she doesn't even notice that the powerful sage Durvasa, remember the guy with the temper, has shown up at the door. He's expecting a formal welcome, and when he gets ignored, he takes it as a huge insult. And he just explodes. He unleashes this absolutely devastating curse. He declares that the very person she's daydreaming about, King Dushyanta, is going to completely forget her. Not just get a little hazy on the details. He will have no idea who she is.
Her friends are understandably freaking out, and they beg the sage for mercy. He calms down, but only a little. He says the curse can be broken, but there's only one way. She has to show the king a token of recognition. And of course, the only token she has is the ring.
So, with this one fragile piece of hope, Shakuntala eventually heads off to the capital, totally convinced that this ring will solve everything and bring her husband's memory back. And this is where it all just goes so wrong. It's like a perfect storm of bad luck. The curse kicks in, and poof, Dushyante's memory is totally wiped. As if that's not bad enough, on her way to the capital, that precious ring slips from her finger while she's at a river, and a fish swallows it. I mean, you can't make this up. So she finally gets to the court, pregnant, all alone, and the one thing that could prove her story is gone. The moment she's been waiting for turns into an absolute nightmare.
She stands there in front of King Dushyanta, the man she loves, and he just looks at her like she's a complete stranger. With his memory gone, he actually questions her character and publicly rejects her. He genuinely thinks she's a fraud, and she is just left there, completely humiliated. But right when it seems like all hope is lost, the same fate that was so unbelievably cruel before suddenly decides to step in and fix things.
And the way this all comes together is just wild. A fisherman catches a big fish, and when he cuts it open, what does he find inside? The king's royal ring. He brings it to the palace, and it eventually gets presented to the king. The second Dushyanta sees that ring, the curse shatters. Every single memory comes flooding back. The forest, their love, their marriage, the wife he totally forgot.
The king is just consumed by guilt and sorrow. With his memory back, his true self is back, and he understands the awful thing he's done. He immediately launches this desperate kingdom-wide search, determined to find her and make it right.
After years of searching, he finally finds Shakuntala and their young son. And that reunion is just filled with tears and forgiveness, and this powerful proof that their love was strong enough to overcome a divine curse and the complete erasure of memory.
And the story's legacy is just monumental. Their son, Bharata, grows up to be such a legendary and foundational emperor that the traditional name for India itself is Bharat, named in his honor. That's how deeply the story is woven into the very fabric of the nation.
So in the end, we're brought right back to that first question. A single forgotten moment almost destroyed everything. But maybe what Shakuntala is telling us is that some connections run deeper than just memory, that a love that's true enough can survive anything, even fate itself, and in doing so, help us find who we really are.